Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to get underway into our second best of one of the day. It's Finest taking on Forward. Now, of course, you see the Forward name, you might not know the name of the team itself, but you'll know the players. Dozier. You know, what a name in its own. A name who everyone should know in some regard, a legend of the game. It's glad to see him by the X-Guard. We'll have to wait and see what they can do. Ford have been putting on some very, very decent performances of what I've seen across the bracket. No one really expected to make them this far. Now they've got a tough opposition of Finest. One towards H. First for Shocked. Looking for two. Can he find the third? And of course he can. Plucking them out the sky like clay pigeon shooting. Shocked is making it look easy.
I mean, you know what? If Finest win this game, can we call them the Legend Slayers? Because this is not the first time in this tournament they've had to come up against Legends. They took on Doom yesterday. It was a relatively close game, but they came out on top of it. Now again, they find themselves facing some Legends of the CSGO scene. And, well, for now, at the very least, looks like they're doing all right, with Shocks getting 3 pretty tasty kills to start out the round. Interesting. I mean, obviously bomb's been lost, so there's a bit of a tough one for Forward to figure out. But obviously, with it being the first round, you're not going to do anything silly like try and save your pistols. So, yeah, try and get a little bit of momentum going, try and block some of those sight lines. They want to get a few kills if they can.
Trying to find something. Blessing artists for one more. It's going to be the flawless round with low HP. Problem. Not going to cause too much of a problem over towards Finest. The first round for the CT side. And an easy one. Add that all off the back of Shucks for a 3-piece and Plessing will find himself just an extra 2 to add on top. The cherry on top. Brilliant round for the CT side.
And of course, that'll propel them to a relatively good buy here into the second round. Not looking to get as overzealous as what we saw Los Cogitos in the previous game. They'd kind of bought into like 4 rifles. It was quite hectic. But they did come on top of it, so it did win there. It did work out. The Finest, however, play the slightly safer game. Don't want to underestimate their enemies. Bearing in mind, of course, Forward, no bomb plant, no moolah.
For now, so far, so slow for Forward. As you mentioned, that lack of bomb plants left them with nothing. So they've gone through a minimal investment. Just a full Glocks, no utility, no armor, nothing. Stick around the 2k mark because it gives you economy to work with in towards the next. That tempo, very slow. Playing anti for Twist, but he doesn't even need to be perfectly honest. For the time being, this round should only go one way. For Forward, the priority, finding a bomb plant, highly unlikely. If they can get a kill or two, that would be great. But even then, that is a really big ask. I think it was a bit of utility once again. Trying to force them out, and it will. Twist is going to find the first. Kriak going to re-peek in himself. Problem playing anti. He's hiding. Doesn't want to give away the ruse. Forward looking for any opportunity to kill, but I don't think they're going to find too much. Now, Rain, the MP9s are causing issues. Problem will fall, so with the bomb. Dozier does find himself one. It's good to see a legend back in the game, but he's not going to live much longer. Finest up to a second.
Only losing 1 player in that engagement, not bad at all. So now we head into what is their bonus, essentially. Of course, Anarch is not going to spend terribly much into this one. Oh, there we go. Somebody's bought him an AWP. Beautiful. To have that really, really early on in the round. Yeah, that extra little bit of firepower. I mean, he was an absolute demon yesterday, doing so much to keep the team afloat and really a linchpin in their wins, especially that one against Doom. So nice to see that he's going to have that in his hands, and important round to have it as well. If they can beat Forward here, going to put a bit of a dampener on their economy. So yeah, looking good into this next round.
Atticus, AWP, gonna find the first from Temple, re-aggressing in as well. Atticus wants to take the fight. Util gone forward with a Shucks for 1. Blessing him for the trade on towards Problem, and already Finest making light work. The T side. Atticus and his AWP is a match made in heaven. As this one's done, to be perfectly honest, is Shalame all alone. I mean, I can't really expect too much to come from him, to be perfectly honest. This one is going to be a third on the board. If you can save the AK, that would be huge, but even still, it's going to be a little bit of a tough ask. Kriaz and the MP9 shift walking into danger as Kriaz will fall, so the rue's given away of where he's posted up. They know this round is done, but it's a question of can he make it any more expensive?
Forward have a pretty tough task ahead of them, obviously. Given the fact that they're starting here on this T side, they've already lost effectively 3 rounds, so they need to kind of pick up the pace a little bit into the next few rounds, try and build up that little bit of a buffer that we always talk about for when they do swap sides. Otherwise, Finest may just have a little bit of a runaway here. Now, it has helped, of course, that they've managed to take out 2 of Finest's reinforcements. So at least they've got that going for them. A little bit of extra cash for the kills, and of course, take away a little bit of Finest's cash, but no bomb plant once again. So going to find themselves in a really rough spot into the next round. Not going to be able to get too much out of it. Finest, of course, 3-round wins in a row. They're going to be just fine.
For now, it is just about keeping that AK in play. Of course, it does give him no sort of economy, so he can't really even drop himself, which makes it all the more uncomfortable. But hey, keeping an AK in play, at least is something that they can work around coming in towards the next. I'd expect the investment to be, for the most part, pretty minimal. Try and stick around 2k, maybe an upgrade a pistol, bit of armor, maybe a bit of utility, but even that's a little bit too hefty of an investment. Try and stick in that low buy, try and have some economy going in towards the next. They need to build up a little bit of stability off the back of this loss bonus, and that was a good time. AK will come through, or Pleston. Bit of utility with that Molotov can keep all the ruse at bay. Dozier can't go too aggro either. Neither can be said for the AK-47. Forward are stuck in some tough positions. It's great utility usage from Finest. Smoke will come through. Nade to follow suit as well. Aggro here from Krias could net them an opener, but it's Jane for the first. Krias to fall. The AK doing good work before the trade comes in. Tech 9 at close range finds damage, but not the kill, as Problem will trade.
Good attempt here to go for the A control push in. Oh, that's unfortunate. Of course, Mal's trying to sneak across over towards mid, possibly over towards A, but Anarchist is not going to allow it to happen. Shuts him down. And with Problem being the last player left alive here to try and pick up the bomb. Here's the sound of the AWP, but can't connect any shots to take control. Finest again with another reasonably clean round for themselves.
The Finest, it's kind of, these are the rounds we expect them to be picking up. The ones which require them to be kind of using that utility to give them those advantages. A team versus what is essentially a mix in this sense, you can only really expect Finest to be walking out on top, especially when you add the other considerations. Finest, ranked about 22nd in the world with some of the most, upcoming prospects in this roster being unbelievable. Anarchist is the big name that everyone looks toward, but even the likes of Pleston and Korea has been put up unreal performances too. I mean, this is a very solid side, and they struggled at times. I mean, Doom pushed them to OT, which is not something we expected. For the time being, though, this is, again, another one of those scenarios where, for Finest, this should be an easy best of one, that leaves them just one best of 3 away from the RMR. Problem. XL Razor's man looking for something, not going to find it. Moo will fall, though, to the hands of Korea as a big name out for the count. The X-23 man not going to find too much impact. Dozier does get himself one, but Pleston and Anarchist combined. Twist going to add to the tally. And Problem is the last alive to try and deny Finest finding their 5th. Now a shocked holding on the angle. And gets one done. Spotted. Damage though. Repeat comes in. 5 points of HP and Problem passes that test. But 1 versus 3, it's still a long road to recovery.
I was really curious to see how this round was going to unfold because, of course, Finest left the entirety of mid completely open and available for forward to push through. And they did actually push very far up into mid and then retreated. I suppose they probably kind of got that suspicion that, okay, there's no one here. This could end badly. And so while they're on the retreat, Finest re-engage and are able to kind of just mow down the players as they're kind of moving out of the space. And potentially a bit of a misplay there from forward. Might have bode well for them to kind of push that advantage. I mean, most of the reinforcements were kind of angling more towards that B site. So if they'd possibly gone through Donut, maybe, might have had a better opportunity to try and take some space there, get in onto that A site. But unfortunately, didn't pan out that way. And so that's going to be another round given over to Finest. And of course, forward still in not a terrible spot economically, but not good by any measure. It's just going to be the upgraded pistols. Try and get something going into the next round because they've conceded so many rounds. The snowball is alive and well here for Finest. Maybe once forward get into the next round, get themselves a proper full buy, full eco, full armor, full utility. Then perhaps they can start to bring it back in their favor. But as it stands now, Finest are outmaneuvering them on firepower, and they seem to have a better strategic depth, I suppose, and that will come with being one of the top tier 2 teams.
Pause coming through. Hopefully only attack one. We'll have to wait and see. It is elongated for the time being. For forward coming towards the next round, as you mentioned, that buy is going to be pretty minimal. Again, it's sticking around the 2k mark. That at least guarantees they've got some economy coming towards the next. A bomb plant for me, well, it's not a priority. I think it's starting to get a little bit of a necessity, just because if forward want to have a chance for, the likes of Doja to pick up an AWP, or the likes of them to be coming in with kind of the AK's armor and full utility, they're going to need a bomb plant to give them just a little bit of stability. Either way, heading in towards round number 6, it's a much more comfortable buy for Finest, and the same really can't be said for forward. It is just the pistols, small amount of utility, bit of half armor coming through, but even still, it's ambitious to expect this round to go any way aside from Finest finding a sick. Pleston smoke in does give him a little bit of space to work with, and he might even decide to push this. He's got some timing in his favor.
Very slow approach for an eco, and that seems to be kind of what forward lean into. They don't go for that kind of super explosive full stack rush eco. Instead, they still try and keep it as strategic as possible, try and bait out some of that util, but it looks like they're going for an A stack and it's just getting melted.
Kriaz double for it. Shotgun add one more. Tech9 tapping. Does in fact drop Twist. He can't quite find the target. He was looking for the bomb. Might be able to go down. James picked up for A1S, but he won't be able to use it for much longer. Bomb dropped. Pleasant re-aggressing. Bomb's still in their sights. Do they expect Dozy? I don't think so, but it does not matter. It was just a Tech9. I think this one's done. Does find himself one on the way out. Surely it's fourth momentarily, and that is the case. Finest make it 6-0.
Eesh. Alright, so as I said before, obviously this is going to be the round where forward can actually buy in again. Gonna have quite a lot to work with here. AWP in session, looking to try and potentially take the fight to Anarchiz. Not necessarily directly, but to try and eliminate some of those Finest players, give themselves an opening in onto one of these sites. We're going to see a lot of early util coming out here, so we might see a slightly more aggressive position from forward than we have seen previously.
That's for sure. Well, Nate will come through for Kriaz. He wants to get this early bit of control just outside of Excavation. Won't be giving it for the time being, but Twist is single-handedly doing exactly that. Now they've got control. Now there's no pathway in towards that B site. A smoke will come through. They've got mollies to follow suit afterwards. This should only go one way. They can only really force them into either expending a lot of utility to re-aggress or going over towards that A side. And already, Kriaz going to find himself one. There's that man advantage. There's where Finest start to build up their wealth of a lead as Kriaz is going so aggro, and it's working.
And the confidence from the Finest players here, I mean, there's no fear whatsoever. They know who they're up against, but they know what they're capable of. So Kriaz takes a very aggressive stance out through mid, gets that first opening kill, nets them the man advantage, and now forward again, kind of, they were already being a little bit slow. I kind of expected possibly a bit more speed out of that, but no, they keep it slow, they stagnate a little bit, and there you go. Second player already down, make it a third. I mean, forward don't even get a chance to get into sight. Bombs down, that's pretty much the round.
No, for sure. I mean, this one is more or less done, to be perfectly honest. It's now down to 2. Problem falling. Jay, 2 points of HP. Just find himself a kill. But I think it's safe to say there's not much hope of him finding anything more. Does he go for the save here is the real question. Or does he try and die so he has, a little bit of a loss bonus going towards the next? Either way, things aren't looking too good for the forward side as Finest are about to extend their lead to 7 rounds. They're going to do exactly that. 7-0. Forward are being decimated right now. And you get to the point again where you're over towards forward. Does another attack pause need to come through?
I mean, this is quite rough because forward, so they had a fairly strong victory against 777 in the previous round. And I mean, we know 777 is a pretty good team in their own right. It was a 16-11. So I definitely expected this to be a little bit closer. Now, again, we have to bear in mind, of course, that this is Finest side. That could be making a difference. Oh, man. Oh, the disrespect.
Well, of course. I mean, now showing exactly what Finest can do on the CT side. I mean, Ancient is generally seen as one of, if not the most CT side, I think there's kind of there's definitely an argument around there. Nuke is still, for me, it still feels like the most CT side, in my opinion, anyway. Especially with the changes made to Ancient recently, it lent a little bit more in favor of the T side, but it doesn't matter right now because forward cannot seem to find any sort of success. They can't seem to find any sort of well, security, comfort, nothing is going in their favor. Yes, the buy here was pretty minimal. Yes, it wasn't anything to write home about. But even still, barely testing the waters. I don't think we've even seen them get a bomb plant, if my memory serves me right. So,
Nope.
in the grand scheme of things are looking too good. Pop will come through. Twist gonna forward, shots in for a double, looking to make it a 3-piece. Will be traded out, but it's still a 1 versus 2 and a Tech 9 at range. You can't expect it. Pistols over towards Korea, nearly causing an issue. Problem's gonna gun him down, but he's running into trouble. Running towards Cave, running towards the AWP, and Anaki's, he's expecting, hoping for this fight to come through. 30 seconds on the clock as well. Bomb is in hand, but getting towards the site is still going to be the tough one.
Oh, he sees the shots being fired. He knows where Kriya's is. I mean, all things considered, this is a reasonably okay round for Forward. I mean, they get quite a few kills in this one. A problem, if he could just get that one more, I mean, that would have been a solid round. But they do get a little bit of cash for some of those kills, obviously. No, they didn't get that bomb plant, but, you know, at least there's that little bit extra. Every little bit helps. They get themselves back into having that AWP setup. But, I mean, we missed the 007. It's already at 008, you know, and I feel like that just says a lot about how much Forward are really struggling against this seasoned team. And of course we know that there are some seasoned players on Forward, but not necessarily recently. Whereas Finest, of course, have been on that grind for so long, it really does just feel like a little bit of outclassing at the moment.
Yeah, the legends of the game struggling a little bit. Mu and Dozier, I mean, of course, names that we know oh so well, but fortunately, it's not kind of been working too well for them in the server. So far, been a rough showing. Annika's already going to find himself one to kickstart things quite nicely. An advantage for the CT side. Will it be kept as the question? Annika's is going quite aggro with that AWP. He's been finding some success. I don't blame him, to be perfectly honest, but he needs to be careful not to overextend. Pless is going to rotate in behind. Flame going to forward. Doesn't expect that rotation coming through, and that dicey. Spam through the wood, and Twist knows all about it. Problem will fall to the hands of the M4A or an S through the wood. As it's a 2 versus 5, and for Finest, they are knocking on the door of 9 here.
I feel like Finest are really just reading into Forward so perfectly. Which is not difficult. I mean, Forward, their strat... Oh, dear. All the discipline. Can he get 2? Oh! Do you know what? It might not win them the round, but you take the style points. See if you can get more out of this round. The corner gets a 3rd. Gets the bomb. I mean, this is almost doable now.
Only thing is the pincer coming through. Plesson's going to wait for the plant to come forward. He knows exactly how to play discipline. And just as he taps it, Plesson will swing. Dozier, great attempts, rolling back the ears just a little bit. But unfortunately, Plesson just that step above. 9-0. For Finest, they are speedrunning this game.
Little bit. So what I was saying, so Forward, they generally kind of, they lean towards that B site and they really take their time. So you start to see Finest get quite a bit of aggression out from like mid, out from A, heading in towards their spawn, creating a little bit of a pincer of themselves. Map control is my favorite phrase in any FPS game. And now Forward back down onto an eco. Do they finally go for some of that aggression? Nope. Aggressive util, but not actually pushing. And again, Finest are able to just mow them down.
Quick hit. Gonna come forward over towards the B site. Still the pistols. Still can't expect too much. Twist will find himself 1. Problem will fall. Bomb trying to make his way down, and actually just about will be able to do so. Gap in the smoke. Still benefits Anakin, so it does not matter. Moo's holding for the rotation. But it's Moo and Dozier needing to roll back those years once further, but he won't be able to do so. It's going to be a flawless 10th for Finest as they comfortably seem to be walking through this game.
Well, I mean, Forward finally got a bomb plant, so that's at least a little bit of a feather.
Positive, yeah.
Yeah, it's something. It gives them a bit of cash coming into this round as well, a little bit more than they may have had previously, so it gives them a slightly stronger buy, gives them maybe a little bit more of a chance. But that being said, I mean, this isn't their first full buy, right? And despite the fact that they have had this firepower, this matching firepower before, Finest are very easily reading into them. Forward are very hesitant. They're almost playing scared. They don't want to push because they know that Finest are waiting. Oh man, that molly coupled with the flash, that's just depressing.
The consistent factor has been Finest finding the man advantage, and this is becoming really tough to watch now, where for Forward, a lot of questions have to start being asked. They are just being outclassed. I think for Forward, they've made a decent run as a bit of a mate, kind of, as you mentioned, rolling back those years, but now they've come against a true opponent, 22nd in the world, one of the top 10 Cs out of Finest, and they are decimating them. Moo going to find himself one, though. Annika's falling is a big kill. At least extends a bit of a lifeline, but a smoking towards front ramp denies that pressure and denies that pathway on towards the site itself. Plessing can pick up the AWP. The secondary AWP, we know what he can do with the big green. Tempo to a grinding halt.
As usual. I mean, again, this is like Forward's entire strat book. Move in slowly, lose a player, get even slower, run into Finest crosshairs. I mean, we need to see a little bit more aggression out of them, and honestly, it might even be too little too late. Even if they do start to kind of hit the gas a little bit here, Finest are giving themselves such a runaway lead. I'm not sure if we'll find a way back into this.
No, I don't think they do either. Just going to find himself one. Boosted up as well. He knows they're going to struggle to get that bomb down. When they cross on towards side, Koreas might be able to make it work. They're swinging close. One apiece, make that a second for problem. That's enough. Shox now all alone in a 1 versus 3. To be perfectly honest, I'm surprised he's going for a save here. I mean, he's gotten 6.4k in the bank. He may as well at least make something of this. Try and make it expensive. He's going to rotate all the way back round. Try and find kills on the exit. Retaking's going to be difficult, especially because he has to go a little bit loud and fast here. Denying an AWP being saved across would be a massive, massive plus in the books. But easier than done. Do they expect Shox to be coming from behind is the big question.
He does have a kit, but that bomb is ticking away. I think it's just kind of exits at this point. Maybe even he'll die to the bomb. We'll see if that actually happens. But like you say, I mean, it's a bit weird to try and save you, given just how much cash they have available to them. But, oh, there you go. Dies to the bomb. But well played Forward. They managed to get themselves a point on the board, and now we're starting to see kind of what they've been trying to accomplish with their slower play style. This is the first time that it actually does pan out for them because they still have quite a bit of utility left over. So they throw out quite a few of those smokes. They finally get themselves in onto the site. They push out, push Finest off of their angles, and they're finally able to get themselves around on the board. If they can replicate that, maybe they can string those 4 rounds together that they need to make it a reasonably competitive second half. But if Finest are able to shut it down, yeah, this could be a pretty good one.
Spamming through, Plessing gonna fall. Made up by Jlane. Korea's gonna back with a spam on his own. He does need to be careful here. He's in a little bit of a dicey spot, especially with his 47 points of HP. A stray bullet is going to cause a lot of issues in his camp. The spam's still trying to attempt to find something. They want to bring the numbers back in their favor as Twist going to take a little bit of fate. Wants to try and swing his way forward. The question is, will he be able to clear the AWP off the angle? I don't think so. Moo, easy for him to find himself Twist. Numbers favoring Forward, and this is once again another opportunity where they could be just about to walk away with a second here, unless they can do something special. Annika's will miss the shot, an uncharacteristic miss at that. Sets him down to 55 points of HP.
This is a good round from Forward, and I think that I'm starting to see a little bit more of what I wanted to see from this team initially. They're starting to kind of read into Finest's positioning, their defensive positions, spamming through some of those smokes, being able to get a couple of kills because they know that's where Finest are likely to be pushing out from, get themselves onto the site. Once they know it's all clear, get that bomb down. So really, really well played here. This is kind of what we were hoping for, that resurgence, that little bit of extra gas to get them those next few rounds. So they get themselves up to 2. By no measure is this becoming a close game, but hopefully they can just kind of claw their way back in a little bit more here. Of course, Finest still fine in terms of the cash that they have available, but it is slowly starting to deplete. It is slowly starting to become a little bit scary. Oh. Okay, Shokzolaad's still alive here. We can get an exit maybe. There we go. I mean, that'll do, that'll do. Manages to save the AWP, which is really big, especially as I mentioned, you know, the economy. they're going to have loss streak bonus, obviously, and because they've won so many rounds, they have that long term that we talk about being so so important. But the fact that they don't have to buy into another AWP, definitely going to stead them well for the next couple of rounds.
Well, for now, pulls will come through. I think the Finest, they're still comfortable, to be perfectly honest. With double digits already collected in the first half, they could see this one out like this and be okay in the grand scheme of things. I do think they just need to be slightly careful that they don't allow forward to get a bit of momentum going through. Heading in towards round number 13, the buy is going to be a little bit all over the place, especially considering Twist. He himself going to have a little bit of a weird situation where we probably expect him to just prioritize utility, unless there's a drop on the floor for him. I'm not actually... Oh, no, there is it. He's fine. M4AOS on the floor. They're going to be actually chilling. But for Finest, it's still a scenario where they need to be a little bit careful not to allow forward too much confidence going through to see out the half. If they get a bit of momentum going in towards the second half, especially, of course, it being that CT side forward, things could get dicey very, very quickly. Moves up, holding in towards back sight. No one over towards A to greet them. They're playing that sort of somewhat standard setup that you see now of kind of the gamble towards B and the main player in towards Donut, but in comes the Util. Shocks avoid the first flag. First kill as well, going his way. Will be pushed off the angle by a flash, but the swing comes through from Placid as he alone comes alive for one. Problem to four, smoking towards sight as well. Buy some time, the bomb's dropped, and again, this is already looking dire. As they can just hold and wait, park up, numbers in their favor, they can play trades, they know they're done damage, and Shock's gonna find yet one more. The flank coming through doesn't find the success. Jlame, the only player with full HP, moves up, rattling off for one and towards Anarchist, but still a tough task ahead.
Solid read from Finest, to be honest. I mean, a lot of what Forward has been doing has been consistently kind of hitting that B site, but Forward don't do terribly much to draw attention away, right? So you don't see a ton of util being thrown over onto the A site to potentially try and fake out a little bit or whatever. It's very much like if they posture towards B, if any utility come out, that's probably where they're going. So they see a little bit of that coming out on the A site, and it's like, oh, hey guys, it's going to be A, because they never fake. They never do anything to kind of confuse us. Really solidly shut down there as well. The A site, very, very close quarters, and kind of as you move through that choke, you're very much in sight lines of everything. There's quite a few angles that you can cover quite nicely there. And that is, again, why this is one of those like very CT-sided maps. So Forward going to try and just kind of hold on to this AWP. Oh, nice little shot there onto Krias, but of course now that's position known. Don't think they'll chase it though, so at least they'll be able to hang on to that one. Little bit of cash coming into the next round off the back of a couple of wins, so at least they're still able to buy in. But Finest, I mean, after losing 2 rounds, they're very much back in the driving seat. They've gone, hang on a second, Forward have read into us. Now we just make a couple of adjustments and they're back on top, and it seems fairly effortless.
Be very surprised as well if Finest aren't able to get at least one more before the half comes through. Going in a sort of a 12-3, 11-4, I mean, it's really actually more or less done and dusted for me. It seems like it's already starting to kind of have those final nails in the coffins be hammered in for Shocks. Smokes off in towards Donut. Spam will come through towards mid. Not going to find the target, but he gives away the ruse. James going to be good for 1. Pleasant falling 2 makes all the more uncomfortable. And now they've got space in towards mid. Mid in the control of Forward gives them the ability to play that decision if they want to go for a split. And they're tempted to go back over towards B. 2 players there to greet them. But for the likes of AWP of Anarchist, he needs to find some early success. It's a 5 versus 3, looking very favourable for Forward to find their third here.
They slowed down quite a lot once again. Really just kind of defaulting back to their usual style. But they have taken a fair amount of control here. Oh, I was waiting to see if this duel actually does happen. It could be a really important one, especially for Forward if they can win out that battle. But there you go. Anarchist going to try to claw back some control into this round. His AWP is devastating if you give him the opportunity. So there you go. Forward going to back right out of there. They don't want to have to try and duel that. This is an interesting play here because a lot of space has been given in mid, so it looks like it's clear, and he does win out that duel. That's the one I was looking forward to. Now he's in a spectacular position to give space for Forward to get in onto the A site.
Anarchist holding. Not going to be given too much over towards the B side as the bomb goes down over towards A. Shock's going to be probably good for a couple, but even still, the retake's going to be tough. 8K collected. He's cautious of main. Is he aware of CT? It is. Doesn't matter. Just about the Labour's play from Shock gets punished. Della was in the open and somehow he still fluffed his line into 1 versus 2. Does have a kit, does have a bit of time to work with, but can't clear the AWP off the angle. Evan to 3, forward, at the very least, making it a little bit less embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, getting that solid control all the way back towards the CT spawn made a huge difference. And of course, at that point, they'd already taken out 3 of Finest's players. So the last 2 that, one was already over towards the A side. The last that needed to rotate in was going to have a really tough time of actually making that happen. So a good reach from forward. Nice to see them kind of fanning out a little bit more, taking a little bit more of that map control rather than just kind of hard focusing in on one particular area. Now again, we see them go to a fairly familiar default, but Shokzolaad taking that deep angle here, looking to get an early pick off if he can. Have they just
mid?
No.
What? Oh, Shock, so Shock. Can't make it a second. Zello's gonna be in for 2 though. He's left on low HP, but at the very least, bringing the numbers back in their favor. The CT side causing an issue. Do they expect Flame, though? I don't think they expect them so close. Krias needs to be careful. On the other side, he's dancing around the pillar. That CZ's got a lot of work to do. And as Krias clears the close position, in fact, over towards ramp, surely it's a good idea that there's a double stack in towards cave. He must know for sure. Anakin hasn't cleared it. Surely he goes down here. James tucked himself in towards the corner. He's not peaked, though. Holding and waiting. What is going on? They've danced around from each other. They're going to swing in. Miss shot with the AWP. Moo. Second time of asking punishes, but Anakin's in for the trade. James managed to sneak his way onto his site. He's got it for free.
What a weird round. Okay, it's not quite over just yet. Bomb still hasn't been planted. Finest have managed to ring a rosy their way into a more attacking position. And our kids will get a beautiful shot off there. That's going to even out the numbers here. Double AWP in this 2 versus 2. This is definitely doable.
Oh, well, Krias falling. He's Anakin's all alone. He needs a quad clutch to find some success. They know he's gone into his cave as well, so they've got the ruse. They can set the post plant up. This one, again, should be done. He met with an aid, in fact, not exactly what he was hoping for, as the AWP tried to rattle off for a couple of pop shots through the wood. Not too successful. Even seeing the AWP might be a good idea for, well, actually, no, great set the AWP. Final round, what am I saying? Probably going to finish things at the half, 11-4. For Finest, it is still a comfortable half. It's still a good performance from them, but they did at least give forward a little bit of success towards the end, which potentially could be something that could be a concern. Of course, that was the T side of Ancient. It's one of the most CT-sided maps in the pool. So with forward now going on to the much more favorable CT side, there's a realm and a possibility where they kickstart that momentum early doors.
Yeah, I mean, this is very reminiscent of literally the last match we did, where Astralis get themselves an 11-4 lead on Mirage on the CT side. Get on over to the T side, and it takes them a good long while. I think they played about 5 or 6 rounds before they were able to get their first round on the T side. They did eventually end up winning it, but it was like a 16-13, so it was very, very close. So this, and I mean, that's on Mirage. That's not even Ancient. So I think that this is still very, very doable for forward. And when you find a slightly more puggy team, you tend to find that their defenses are a little bit stronger than their T sides, right? Because your T sides have to be that much more coordinated, that much more kind of pixel perfect. Now that they're on the CT side, which this map does favor, which does lend itself a little bit more into a kind of a puggier style, I think this is definitely doable.
We'll have to wait and see. We're just waiting on Finest to ready up and get the show back on the road. For them, 11-4. They now move on towards the T side. Ancient's notorious for kind of tough T sides, tough to find that early bits of success, tough to kind of get the momentum going. But a pistol round here for Finest would, again, start the momentum so well. I mean, they picked up a flawless one on that CT side. For forward, the pistol round for me is a necessity. They can't find a fifth here. Then things start to get considerably out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, we know how important pistols generally are, and what makes that a little bit scary is how coin flippy pistols can tend to be, right? Because no one really has a ton of utility, no one really has firepower. It's very much just kind of run at the enemy and see who has the better aim in the moment. And because it can be so chaotic, it's very difficult to assure yourself the victory. So this is going to be an important one for for Forward to come out on top of. I think that if they can do this, if we can see that kind of snowball of 4 or 5 rounds in a row, then they've almost evened out the scoreline. That'll bring them up to like 8-9 points, which would be huge for them. But of course, if Finest win it, then they have the potential snowball that puts them at 12. If they snowball from there, we could be looking at maybe essentially round 15 before Forward get a good buyout, because they are on the CT side. The amount of cash that they're going to be getting is that much lower. So like you said, this pistol pretty much do or die.
That's it. We'll have to wait and see. Everyone's starting to ready up in the server, so we're just about to get underway, well, hopefully, momentarily, before we kickstart our second half. Finest now on towards the T side. We know historically they've been pretty decent on towards this map and towards its T side, but with Forward, they're a bit of an unknown identity. There's very little information on them. They've had a decent run in towards this 4th RMR, but in the grand scheme of things, they are still the sort of unknown as a roster. We know the individuals, but as a team, very hard to counter-strat. So for Finest, it's about how are they expecting the CT side to be set up? How are they expecting Forward to go? Do they go for that default of kind of, we normally see like one over towards A, one towards donut, playing that kind of donut mid position, 3 towards B. Seems to be a somewhat standard play for the time being. We'll have to wait and see. Second half fight to get underway. Forward now on that CT side. Finest on the T side. Let's see who gets a pistol round. I think pistol round, that early momentum, it's so important for Forward. They desperately need to find it.
Yeah, and I think that the scariest part here is that even if Forward do win it, which is super important, if Finest manage to get the bomb plant, then Forward are still very much in a dangerous position. So not only do they need to win this pistol, they also need to kind of do everything they can to stop that bomb from being planted entirely. And it looks like it could be dire straits here, because bomb is definitely posturing towards A site, and A is very, very under protected at the moment.
Make his way there. Donut stack coming through. The smoke will force him away, though. Trying to spam in towards the common angles. That will find some success. Bomb will be able to go down. Problem does find the first, though. Annika's unfortunate, to be honest, as he gets spammed through the smoke, but the bomb goes down, and that's that priority for Finest. Now it's about what they can do in the post-plant. Zealous leads his way out, though. He somehow found a little bit of a gap in that smoke. It's pressing him fall. He's trying to find further damage. Dozier will come alive for one of his own shocks. With him falling, he's twisting Kriaz in a difficult spot. The bomb sort of plants up a donut, but the Glock got so much work to do. They're not going to find some success. We're at an 11-5 scoreline. They're starting to have a conversation about a great CT start.
Yeah, unfortunately not able to stop that bomb from being planted, which means that Finest are going to have a little bit of cash to play with here, upgrade some of those pistols potentially. Let's see if they actually do opt to, because they're in a position where they could realistically just hang on to every last cent they have, rather than try and kind of force into this round, and then into the next round they'll have a ton of cash to play with. So that actually could be the play here. All right, that's what we're going with. I respect it. I think that that's still a pretty solid decision to make, but of course that gives Forward a huge opportunity here with a lot of firepower to finally kind of claw their way back into this.
That's it. P250 is what is opted here for Finest. They've stuck around kind of that majority, kind of 2.5 to 3k mark. At the very least as well, there's a real possibility that they have an AWP in towards the next. That's that big plus. Yeah. That gives them, at the very least, some success going through. We'll have to wait and see either way. For the time being, very slow. They look like they want to make their way back again over towards the A site. For the time being, though, no committal play being made.
Just a little bit of an update for anybody who may have been interested. We had one game that has just ended in the last round, which was 22-20. And then Tropic and Tag, as of about 10 minutes ago, were tied at 21 apiece. So
24-24 now in Tropic Tag.
Sheesh.
24-24. That's a triple OT. Or yeah, it is going to go to triple OT. That game is apparently ridiculous is what I've heard. I've been getting some updates. Apparently that's one, but that is also still the first round of today as well. They still got another game after this against Benched Heroes. So I mean, long day already for Entropic. And then of course, win that, they potentially face themselves up against Inter also that number 4 seed, or number 5 is their number 4 seed. So it's safe to say that Entropic, a long road to success and already a long day so far. Bomb's gonna go down. P250 damage dealt. But Kriaz, all alone. 2 players all low. For him to find anything will be huge, and he won't be able to do so. Jumping MP9, forward up to 6. But the bomb plant is what they were looking for, and they find it.
Yeah, I mean, into this next round, they're going to have pretty decent reserves to fall back on. We may, as you mentioned, see that very, very early AWP come out here for Anarkez. I mean, we saw it in the previous half as well, round 3, and it was already in his hands. Oh, there we go. There we go. It's already been dropped, and he has that online. And of course, with Forward being on their bonus, they're obviously not looking to invest too much into this. Now, they will obviously have figured out that this is what Finest play is. They will 100% be expecting the AWP to come out. But who knows where it's going to go, right? Is it going to go B? Is it going to go mid? Very likely mid, because there's some really nice angles here to potentially try and cover. And there you go. You got a molly coming out just in case that is what the play is. But it could be really dangerous. Oh, good lord. Okay.
To a piece. Full buyer Finest already struggling. Forward. Find the opening to make that a third. Dozier in towards mid. Drops the AWP of Anarkez. He tried to sneak around the smoke. There's a gap. Twist has spotted the legs of problem to his right-hand side. But even to say the least, trying to stay alive is going to be tough for Twist here. James holding and waiting. He's baited in fact. There's the first. He knows one more's in towards the cubby. He can technically make his way towards this B-side for free as Pleasant finds one more. Problem is going to drop our Twist though. Just for foul staying alive, and with Pleasant on minimal HP. That is 4 up to 7. They're actually starting to make a conversation about a comeback.
This was a really good round as well. I mean, again, you know, they were kind of expecting the AWP to come out, so they throw out some of that util in mid, expecting that's likely where it's going to be. Take a slightly more aggressive stance, pushing out of B, and for the few players from Finest that were kind of pushing in that direction, they all get taken down really early on. Anarkez is denied any sort of opportunity to get something done in mid, and their entire T side just falls apart. Now they're back down onto pistols. A huge boon they had in the previous round is completely lost to them, as is Pleasant.
Twist Tech 9, trying to find a bit of that space. Restroking towards front donut does give them at least something to work with, but this is comfortable. Dozier makes it that third kill in the round, and all Finest are left down to just one man. Kriaz, all alone. Tech 9 in hand, 1 versus 5. It's done. 4 up to 8. They are getting extremely close to a real conversation about Finest potentially throwing this one away.
It's a little bit early to tell just yet, although Finest's full buy lost to Forward's bonus, which definitely is a little bit telling. But I mean, we had kind of spoken about this a little bit. This is the CT-sided map to end all CT-sided maps, and Forward look pretty good on this side for the moment. Not really giving Finest a lot of space to move. Finest have been kind of telegraphed in how their plays have gone for the most part, barring, of course, the pistol round, which, as we said, tends to be a little bit chaotic. See if they can maybe make a couple of change-ups here. Of course, the AWP is back in Anarkez's hands. That is where he's most deadly, where he's most useful. This time around, however, it looks like it's going to be an A hit, and this could be perfect.
Well, Dozier said otherwise. Shot's gonna fall, looking for a second, but he himself traded out. That gives them space towards A. Surely they committed, but no. They're rotating back, and it's because Pleasant's in towards mid, and he's gonna find James. This is much better already from the T side, as Finest are utilizing the little bit of spaces they've got to their advantage. Man advantage now, of course. Normally means round in their favour. I'm not going to count our problem for the time being in towards backside. And for Forward, they're very spaced out, in fact. It makes rotations difficult.
And this is the thing. This is why trades tend to favor the T side, because now Forward have to spread themselves so thin across the map to gain any sort of information. And as Finest pushing onto the side, they're going to get themselves another kill, which is instantly traded.
For now. Pleasant falling at least gives them a lifeline. Anarkez falling off the angle too is exactly, or not exactly, what they were hoping for, because there's a bit of a gap in behind. This now becomes very, very difficult. Anarkez, though, does find one just on the edge of that smoke, and we're down to our man in yellow. For him to find anything here is going to be difficult. This crossfire is immaculate. They've got all the angles covered. Falling round, though, is baiting the switch, and Korea tucks in towards Cubby. Finds Finest there, 12. We are now at a full round advantage once further. And for Forward, that economy is already starting to get to a little bit of a dicey spot in terms of, yeah, they can buy in towards the next, but it's becoming unstable in the long term.
Yeah, and I mean, they don't have terribly much long-term to look forward to when you think about it. With Finest already on 12 rounds here, if they win this round, and Forward, despite the fact that their economy is already starting to look a little bit shaky, they have actually opted to invest into a double AWP setup. So if this backfires, because of that added investment, their economy is going to be that much more unstable. Yes, they will have a very small loss bonus. No, in fact, 'cause yeah, it'll be like 2 rounds or so. So there's like the tiniest little bit of extra cash, but it's not really going to help them out if they lose this round. Whereas Finest now, also, if they lose this round, they're in trouble. They will have 0 loss bonus, so they're down to the minimal cash that they can get. And then we're looking at like maybe some upgraded pistols. So both of these two teams are in a precarious position where if either one of them loses, they're essentially losing the next possibly 2 rounds. And that for Forward is disastrous.
Wait and see. Either way, for now, we're on lead. Forward, of course, is that full buy. Both sides heavily invested in towards this one. Winner should be able to walk away with at least a little bit of long-term economy as Dozier into his temple. He's going to find himself one. The flash will force him off the angle as Shock's going to lead the charge. They need to drop that utility, though. This is becoming a little bit dicey already. They're trying to take face. They're not even going with a util play. They're just going for the swings, and to be fair to them, it's worked. They've got the site. Now they can make a decision for how they want to get this plant down. Dozier missed shot. Information gain as well on towards him. This now becomes really dicey above the smoke. Pleasant will fall and the yellow lucky to stay alive. Molly should keep him at bay for the time being, but no! Into the same angle he re-peaked, and now he's got some space to work with. Twist will pick up the AWP. He will find himself Dozier, but numbers still favour the CT side and looking to make it yet one more. Twist careful up behind. Kriaz in for the flank, but he's all alone now in 1 versus 3. I'm not even going to be able to find that second kill. Move. The AWP. Josh Kriaz, 4 up to 9.
I feel like the theme here is possibly a bit of overconfidence from Finest, which at this point is definitely unwarranted. Like, we have now gone from a 7-round deficit to a 4-round deficit. So Finest kind of have to pull themselves towards themselves if they want to close out this match. Forward, on the other hand, are looking much, much better here. They're really doing well at taking advantage of those weird misplays from Finest, taking advantage of that attempt at aggression, and really stopping them from gaining any space.
It's always weird. That sort of early bit of aggression that we've seen from Finest, they're great in terms of getting map control. It's more the post plants where they're struggling now, and this is becoming a bit of a recurring theme. Again, look at the initial points of damage they take just after getting a little bit of map control. They're down to kind of, Kriya's 14 points of HP, Plesson's on 50, Annika's just over as well. They all are starting to start each and every round at a really uncomfortable state where an M4A1S bullets to the head is more or less going to see them out. Now, for Finest, at the very least, the positive sign is the numbers are level. They do have good map control, which gives them the ability to split. But even still for Forward, I mean, they don't need to overcommit. They don't even need to overextend.
I mean, Finest, as much as it's still 5v5, the HP game is very much against them. They're making a ton of noise over on B at the moment. And much like Forward, they don't do much faking. So now, as they start moving in, they just get absolutely mowed down.
Even bad. It needs Kriya's masterclass. There's one, but he's low on HP. To find even anything more is going to be difficult here. He's holding. He's waiting for an overextension. I don't think he's going to be giving it, though. The swing will come through. He's becoming into a very uncomfortable situation. If he had maybe held on the fort, he might have been able to cause a mistake. Not going to happen. As Forward are going to extend this good run up to 10 rounds. They themselves to double digits. Finest to being pushed to the brink here.
I honestly am getting, like, deja vu flashbacks to the Astralis game a little bit earlier on. I mean, this is absolutely absurd. I don't even care that it's a CT-sided map. I feel like Finest are making a lot of mistakes here that a team of this caliber really shouldn't be making. They're being really telegraphed, and very similar to Forward on their own T side, where like you see a little bit of util and you kind of get the idea, yeah, that's probably what they're going to be doing. So Forward are able to react really easily to everything that Finest are doing.
In towards mid. Trying to go aggressive. It's actually the orb that comes out on top there, but this is again easy pickings of Forward. Finest are overextending. They're pushing through utility and they're going in dry. This is comfortable pickings time and time again. Where it should be Finest just slowing things down, just trying to play a little bit more passive. But no, does not work in their favor. And look where we now stand. 12-10, and realistically should be momentarily Forward up to 11. And it's looking like that. Korea has 4 points of HP. It is done. I just saw you mention it, Sam, but Entropic have lost. The number 4 seed, ladies and gentlemen, lost to Tag. And of course, there's a couple of names there that you might recognize. They were part of that old Grand roster, which was, you know, with FPS, Get Jekka. Those guys, of course, qualified for DreamHack way back when they beat Fnatic. They have just taken down Entropic 25-23. And Cynics as well, 41-30, plus 11 for him, 1.4 KD. Mirrored a fantastic game with a 45-34, but it wasn't good enough.
Jeez, what a wild round. I mean, that scoreline alone. Jeez. But, you know, at least Entropic don't have that long day ahead of them anymore. Now it's Tag that have got a bit of a long day ahead of them. And Finest, on the other hand, well, looking like this could be the end of their day if they don't kind of shape up a little bit here. This should be an even scoreline by the end of this round unless Finest can do something absolutely magical. This double AWP setup seems to be doing wonders for them.
Gap in the smoke. Pleasant using it. Pleasant finding a kill. Yellow overextends, and that really causes an issue because at the very least, it's now something for Pleasant to work with. He's got an AK-47 in his hands. Alec is trying to find a gap in the smoke. To find that's going to be a tough ask, though. This should slow down that tempo a little bit. Forward need to be careful. They know they're coming against not much of a buy, and they're getting a little bit overzealous, a little bit overconfident, overextending, and that could be their downfall. You see Jame as well. He's only on 7 points of HP. He cannot afford to overextend. But problem will find yet one more. Alec is not eagle. Walk straight into the AWP. Pleasant, all alone. Smoke in hand. AK-47 to work with. Not for much longer. We're tied all square, 12 apiece. From 11-4 at the half. Look how things stand now.
Ooh. Again, if I'm Finest, I'm concerned about how this has gone so completely awry. I feel like Ancient is one of those maps that you just don't pick in a best of one. Unless your confidence levels are absolutely through the roof. Which, granted, maybe Finest's were, but unfortunately it has massively backfired, at least for now. Interesting little default setup here. Bomb very much still in spawn, looking to gather a little bit of information before they commit to anything. But they have survived into the round. Very often by now, Forward have already managed to get their first pick off. So this is a good start for Finest. They try to gather a little bit of that map control that they need.
So I'm going to do the smokes. James going to fall, in fact, double tags coming through. That gives the information. Anakin's going to find yet another 2. All for Zorp. Is Anakin's come on top. Finally, we're seeing what Finest can provide. I mean, this is what we sort of expected from them on that C side. Aggressive in their nature and finding entry kills. I think they were a little bit lackluster earlier. Problem might get some timing, and he does. Kriaz falls. And now we've got a conversation starting to arise here where, as things stand, Forward have got pretty decent map control. At least it denies some pressure.
3-3 generally tends to favor T sides, as we've said before. They've got a lot of space to work with at the moment as well. Kind of posturing over towards that A site, which could very well be the play. Working with Anarchist as the tip of the spear. And of course, this could end very, very badly. Spots the barrel of the gun. Knows that there is a player over in that position. So going to hold this angle. And while bomb gets planted, if he peeks out, this should be an easy kill.
In theory. But the way and see an execution. So far, For forward, they're very slow in this retake here. They're looking for information. They will collect the double AWP setup, which I gotta say, respect to them. Going shotgun AWP style. Flash will come through. Dozier trying to find a bit of space he needs to be careful of. Donut swinging out. They have a bit of utility, but time is ticking. Molly will come through, smoking towards front sight. Nade as well on towards his hands, but I think he's going to hold on the fort. Meat shield coming in. Wait, it might in fact work. The setup's here, and they managed to pull it off forward. Brilliant. The classic meat shield. Dozier is so smart. He knew exactly what the lineup was, and it works.
That was looking so smart. So Anarchist gets the information that the AWP is right across from him, holds the angle, so if anybody pushes out, he can maintain control of it. But the other two players from Finest pull all the way back, starting to look like a friggin' Valorant setup at that point. And when the retake starts to come in, they have to rush to get to where the bomb is. And at that point, it's too late. So Diffuse comes through, and now Finest, after having lost that round, immediately lose Krias and Twist. This is looking like a 14-12, and we've barely had a chance to get through a talking point.
Forward up to 14. This could be another upset. We've already talked about Entropic dropping out the number 4 seed here. And now there's a real possibility and potential that Finest, who I think I'm right to say we're number 7 seed, are looking like potentially they could be following suit. I mean, that's not a story that we expected to talk about at all.
Oh, good on Forward. Proving that it's never too late to make a comeback, I suppose. Can you imagine if we see Forward at the major? I don't see it happening, but I think it'd make a really interesting storyline.
It'd be nice to have Dozier back as well. I mean, it's been a long time since we've had the good old days of Gambit way back when. And it'd be cool to see Dozier back in play, but or back at the major anyway. I think for them, I don't think they really even expected to make it this far because of how well they have been doing against some, notable names. We're going to find one drain from above as well. Lovely little boost coming through, and it provides the successful Pleasant spam through the wood. Forward are up to 14. They are 2 rounds ahead of Finest, and they're 2 rounds away from 16 in this best of 1.
Well, I'm not even sure what to think at this point. You know, Finest haven't really made any solid adaptations on this T side. They've only managed to win 1 round in the entirety. There have been 11 rounds on this T side, and Finest have won 1 of them. I mean, that is just absolutely absurd. They are being so incredibly telegraphed. And now, okay, the cash that they have available is just so sad. They're going in with a hero AK here for Twists. But of course, if they lose this round, then it's match point. So they still have to make sure that they've got a little bit of cash left over when they invariably lose this round. And let's face it, I don't think that's even going to be enough. This game is looking like it might just be over.
Getting dicey. This, again, on paper, should be Forward finding 15, and that's the great start. Jello gonna find that first. This is getting to an uncomfortable state. Not one that I even expected to be talking about. I thought finds off the back of an 11-4 half would be able to somehow be able to kind of, claw 5 rounds on the C side just because how dominant their CT was, and this is becoming horrible to watch, dicey to watch. Twist with a hero AK, pistols around him. Not even the greatest of map control as well. It's pretty textbook that it looks like they're going to make their way towards B. Like util. Now the connect to play. The boost coming through once again with what he's seen to find success. Holding him towards the right hand side has allowed them control on towards the site, but prioritizes the cave area. Missed eagle shots off from Atticus. That's rough to watch. Tough to watch, in fact, as the AWP gets a freebie and it really shouldn't have even been alive. Shock to swing back in. Gets deleted once further. There's Jamal. This is so easy for him. Dozier one more. Twist to a 3-piece. Gives them at least a lifeline, but it's only for a moment in time. As retake will come forward, and Forward are up to 15 now. They are 1 round away from taking this best of 1 off Finest, off the 22nd best side in the world.
I mean, honestly, thank God for Finest that they were able to get those kills, which gives them a little bit of extra cash, and that they were able to plant the bomb. If they hadn't done that, I don't know what their buy looks like coming into this round. So at least they come into this with a full buy, with full utility, with full armor. They actually have a chance. But again, they have only managed to win one round on the entirety of their T side. Do I see that changing now? Probably not. And I'll admit it, I've got a little bit of a bias to this team, but unfortunately, they've let me down here. And this could be the end of the road. Remember, and I feel like I need to just kind of highlight the stakes once again. This is the last qualifier to get you into the closed qualifier for the major. If you do not make it through this qualifier, your chances at the major are gone. So for Finest, this is an incredibly important match to win. And every match hereafter. Well, I say every match. This one and the next one, right? If you can win the next match, you've basically guaranteed yourself a spot. But they have to get through this one first. And they've given over. They've conceded so many rounds so consistently. This could be the end of the line.
It could. Look at that opener. UDRP has taken the initial brand of damage. I mean, for the time being, though, all 5 remaining alive, and Finest haven't decided to overextend too much here, which has been kind of, for me, their biggest downfall. The consistent overextending, the consistency in which they give away an opening kill over towards the CT side has been a real uncomfortable thing to watch. At least for now, we can play off the back of, okay, for Finest, they've got a bit of space to work with, got a bit of information. Haven't lost that initial fight as well, so it's not really the end of the world. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, in towards Cave. James taking a lot of control early doors. He himself's got a good position to hold here. Kriaz will rotate his way in. Taking this fight in towards Excavation is going to be difficult, though.
Still a heavy presence over towards B for the moment. Forward, very patient. Holding this angle. There it is. That's the first kill of the round, and that could spell disaster for Finest.
That's the opener. They're still trying to make the way towards side. Got a good angle. Drops the bomb. 2 for Moo. He wants to go back to that major. Will he be able to is the question. We'll have to wait and see the answer. Now, Twist or find Jlame. At the very least, there's still room for Finest to rectify this one back in their favor. As Anarchist will peek his way back forward. It's a slow retake coming in, but they got kits to work with, so it's not the end of the world. Problem gonna find one more. Anarchist, he's dancing around backside. It doesn't matter. Twisty something special, and that's great. In from behind, though, he will fall to the hands of Jello. 1 versus 2. Bomb ticking. Anakin Zorp is holding. Gonna miss the shot as well. He has been dinked. He's gonna fall, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's it. I think they've got enough time. Forward are gonna cause an insane upset, and they are 16-12, ladies and gentlemen. Forward advance to the best of 3 stages. They've now got 2 attempts to make it to the RMR. Find 22nd best team in the world. And, of course, coming in towards the competition, top 10 in terms of seeding are down and out for an account. The second of today already, the second upset we've seen. First in Tropic, now Finest.
1 round on their entire T side. I'm
terrible.
Flabbergasted at that. I mean, at least Astrology